So, I started tattooing about, I'd say 6 years ago. Um, when I was 17, I moved out of my parents' house and I wanted to have tattoos. So I decided that I didn't have anybody that was going to tell me no anymore. So I went to a tattoo shop and, brought them some designs that I wanted to have, and they told me, "Get out of here, kid, you're 17. You can't get tattooed without like a parental signature." And I was like, "Oh, what if I'm an emancipated minor?" And they just were like, "Get out." And I happened to go home and order my own tattoo equipment online and did a lot of online research and practice on some honeydew melons to get a feel for how the machine ran and learn how to not gnar up the skin too much. And then I tattooed this little pie symbol on myself. It's the very first tattoo I ever got or ever did. I've never retouched it, so it was only up to go from there. And so I worked on myself for about 3 years. I started a full leg sleeve, which is a whole world atlas, and I happened to be at a show selling some prints of my artwork when I ran into the guy who owns this place, and we became friends, and he liked my art and basically gave me a professional apprenticeship. And yeah, that was about 3 years ago, so been here since, more or less. And I love it. So as a fine artist, I sign all of my work under the name of Thought. I've definitely always been creative, but when I was younger, I didn't fully know how to channel it. I was always building forts and whatnot as a kid. Any material I could get to work with, I would assemble randomness. I've always been creative. I just, it took me until I was about 19 to gain the direction that I have with Thought, because it was 2013 when I started ThoughtBasedCreations. So, as a creative person, I have a hard time getting myself to deal with, a proper schedule or authority. And I had a quote-unquote normal or real job for about a month and a half, and very quickly learned that it just was not for me, so I started working seasonally. I garden for people, maintain yards, gardens, bushes, and whatnot, and in the winter I teach snowboarding. And generally there's like a little 3-week to a month and a half period in between the two seasons where the weather is just not good for either. And when I was 19, the snowboarding season was just coming to an end, and I was a little bit worried. I was like, oh man, like, how am I gonna keep paying my bills or afford gas or eat for the next month? And I thought to myself, like, okay, well, make some sort of craft and sell it. And I was thinking, like, what's something that I would want to, like, what's something that people would want to buy? So I thought of shirts, clothing. Everybody wears clothes. And at the same time, clothing, or like a t-shirt, is like a wearable billboard. It's right on someone's chest, like, that's what everybody sees as soon as they see a person. So I then asked myself, like, if I had access to a billboard, what would I represent? Like, what would I put on that billboard to show people? And then I asked myself, what's something I would change about the world if I could? And my first thought was, well, I would love to make people be more considerate. And being considerate is a sign of having higher intelligence. So really, I would want people to think more. So I thought to myself, think, and then I thought.
That's how you came up with the name.
Yeah, so I drew the Thought logo and then put all these little leaves around it to symbolize growth. And I started painting, like hand painting these shirts, and I sold about 30 of them in a month and loved the shirt so much. I was like, man, this represents me to a T. Like, everything I represent is, like, this is a simple way of visually depicting myself. So